Introducing Magnapuncture, the revolutionary new device with advanced patented technologies that brings the greatest advancements to acupuncture in over 2,000 years. Over 15 years of research and development with overwhelming positive responses.
Magnapuncture is the best thing to happen to acupuncture ever.
It's unbelievable.
This is profound.
Instant relief. It changed me.
It's the best reset button in the world.
Magnapuncture is the first successful blending of ancient Eastern medical practices with modern science and technology. Magnapuncture.
Hello, my name is Dennis and my business partner's name is Greg. He's an Eastern medical practitioner, and it's best if he discusses, sometimes in detail, what we've managed to accomplish. As for myself, I have a 60-year background in electronics and mechanics. I'm what you'd call a generalist. If it drives, flies, floats, if it's mechanical, electrical, or a complex integrated system, well, I've either worked on them or designed better replacements, including some specialty equipment for the Alaska pipeline. Now, Greg, or Dr. Greg as he's often referred to, has spent a great deal of time immersing himself in the practice of Eastern medicine. When he talks about how various Eastern medical practices affect our bodies, well, to be honest, I'm kind of lost. There's no doubt he is when I'm explaining a complex electrical or mechanical interaction. The point is, we come from two very different backgrounds. Over the years, we've each honed our very different skill sets, and along the way amassed a great deal of first-hand knowledge. But the important part of the story is simply that we became fast friends, which led to more work on a project that would eventually become the first proven acupuncture enhancement. Magnapuncture is a modern scientific tool which benefits the client by delivering a more effective treatment. It takes only a few moments to set up. It took us over 15 years from concept to final form, which includes the 2,000 plus successful treatments that clearly demonstrated Magnapuncture benefited nearly every client experiencing it. It seems Greg, from almost our first meeting, well, he always seemed to have a kind of vision about what he felt the future of acupuncture could become. Eventually, what seemed more like an endless series of discussions at the time became a wish list. So I built a series of experimental units from scratch, and Greg began testing on himself. We learned a great deal, and in time, I was able to invent and build a number of one-off unique components, which became the secret of Magnapuncture. And it all began with a simple question: how could we blend ancient practices with modern technology? Well, Magnapuncture is the answer to that question, and it's given the ancient medical practice of acupuncture a whole new lease on life, with what appears to be an almost unlimited future. It's simply the first scientific enhancement to Eastern medicine since, well, probably since it began. Fact is, it's so unique, a United States patent was granted, which is the nuts and bolts of how Magnapuncture was developed from a concept to become the first of its kind. But enough about the hardware. So let me turn this over to you, Greg.
Thanks, Dennis. It's great to hear your perspective on our long-term collaboration in Magnapuncture development. To segue from Dennis's perspective, let's start with some things like numbers. The first is 11,344,738. Well, what is that? That's the actual US patent number that was awarded to us. That really gave us a benchmark of how unique what we were doing was, and that this further motivated us to continue what we were doing and even broaden it more. Another quick number is 0.90, 90%. 90% of people, 27 out of 30 people we surveyed in our first informal study of Magnapuncture said that it quickened and deepened their relaxation response. So how did we come to this point where we integrated electromagnetics, polarity frequency, light and sound? How did we get to this point? It goes back as far as my work in the corporate area. I've already had a training of 4 years in medical laboratory science as a bachelor's at the University of Buffalo. I had segued from the clinical lab into corporate roles in both marketing and sales and consult, where I would go in and out of research laboratories. I was in genetics labs, epigenetics labs, proteomics labs, and even metabolomics labs. Well, what is that? Well, the genetics are the complete blueprint and roadmap of what you have available to express as you. And what does that mean? Well, the most illustrative thing I've seen is the blueprint of a caterpillar that has the same exact blueprint available to it as the butterfly into which it evolves. That takes you to epigenetics, because that's the snapshot of what's actually expressed. What subset is expressed. at that time in its life cycle, or even at that moment that you're under a certain environmental stimulus, certain diet, reacting to a certain stress situation. That comes back to my acupuncture training, which started in the physical realm actually, because I went to a school that actually taught how to do trigger point acupuncture. And I found out that that was somewhat unique in the realm of schools throughout the United States. But that was a Western overlay of tight tender points that elicit and propagate pain in the body that overlays in a Western model with Eastern medicine. So I found that exciting. My school also taught some Japanese diagnosis through palpation of hara in the muscles. So I'm kind of a palpation-based acupuncturist when it comes to both the physical aspects of trigger points and the hara, which can also have some emotional components. So where does that take us in the development of Magnapuncture? The fact that the body is frequency-based, is vibration-based, and that we can influence it with resonance properties that we decided we could implement on Magnapuncture. We already have access to the meridians. There's much powerful stimuli that we can make to bring a body back to its own balance. So we're not only seen as mechanics, but facilitators, and that also will cultivate the awareness within the patient to make other changes in their lifestyle or diets or other things that can further amplify the benefits of a treatment. Working with the chakras as well as things like sacred geometries. These have all come together in Magnapuncture and how I utilize it. You know, this takes me to my chance encounter with meeting Dennis. His wife received a gift certificate to visit us at our spa to receive acupuncture and a facial. And her husband is Dennis, my collaborator. We hit it off, and through the years we spoke about some of these principles, and through his expertise and experience with electromechanics and mechanics and electronics, I was astounded that he's able to integrate these into a working system that is practical and realizable and been in use in my clinic for years. Since we're working with a meridian system, we're working with the complete system of the body. Some people have had experiences where they were already doing meditation at home. When they'd come in for an acupuncture, they'd experience very similar things on the table during the treatment while we were addressing their issues. And we believe this is facilitated by the addition of the Magnapuncture. The design of Magnapuncture are in paired pads. The blue and green are different polarity of magnets that we power with a current when we turn on the device. The frequency is governed by the frequency at which we tell the unit to flip the polarity of those two magnets in opposition to each other. Well, why is the frequency interesting or important? There is a resonance effect within the body where lower frequencies like 8 Hertz, 7.83, 8 Hertz, the Schumann resonance, as has been substantiated and measured by science, which is the grounding frequency the Earth has as a very large charged electromagnet with the ionosphere being the charged layer in the atmosphere. So resonance and frequency is a part of what we're doing. The LEDs provide photons in terms of light, waves, or particles. Essence of wavelength and color is a whole nother discussion. Different colors and wavelengths will facilitate different types of healing responses. The basics for the photons hitting water in contact with hydrophilic surfaces, that's water-loving surfaces within the body, will make it exclude dissolved molecules in a layer on that surface. What does that do? It creates an electronegative surface that makes water just want to skate and move. It's important because oftentimes acupuncture is recognized to address stagnation. Where are things stuck? Energy, chi, lymph, fluid, circulation of blood, nerve, sensory or motor. They're all functions of where things will lock up, where we need them to open up and move to. So the sound comes into it that Dennis conceived that we could put speakers in each of the pods and also acoustically vibrate the needles while we were doing the session. And so we're able to merge and resonate with 3 different forms of energy in acoustic energy, light, and electromagnetic energy. And we're able to do it safely. And so the sky is the limit. We can address so much more in the scope of acupuncture and Eastern medicine with a tool like Magnapuncture, now patented, now practical and enabled to use by a broad user base already trained in acupuncture and Chinese medicine. We're hearing such exciting things even beyond our original scope.